Hey there, future home buyer. Today, I want to talk about what goes on inside the mind of a seller. Understanding the seller's perspective on the sale of a home can significantly improve your chances of winning a competitive offer. And it's not just about price. In this video, I'm diving deep into the psychology of sellers and uncovering the strategies that really work for buyers. I'll show you how to stand out from the crowd and secure your dream home, even in the most competitive situations. So if you're about to jump into the home buying scene, or you've been at the game for a while and you're tired of offering top dollar and still coming up short, stick around, because only offering a lot more money is not a winning strategy to go into a multiple offer situation and win it. In this episode, I will be specifically talking about homes that are most likely going to go into a multiple offer situation, because this is where we see most buyers struggling when purchasing a home. Make sure you stay to the very end for all the strategies I have for you. Let's break it down. So this is pretty obvious, but we have to say it. At the heart of it, sellers are primarily concerned about one thing mainly: their net proceeds or their net profit. That's the amount of money they'll walk away with after closing costs, commissions, and any outstanding debts on the property. Sellers have the best chance of the highest amount of net proceeds when they prepare their home to sell quickly, as in the first several days of being on the market. Data and history shows that homes that are strategically prepared to go on the market are the homes that go for more than list and will get much needed buyer interest to be able to have a more competitive edge when it comes to selling. What does this have to do with you, buyer? Well, it's important for you to know that if you want to put in an offer on a home that looks fantastic, the open house is packed, and you can't get an appointment to go see the house because they're booked solid, then more than likely other buyers are highly interested in this home too. And that means you will most likely be in a multiple offer situation. You don't know how many offers are coming in, so you need to be well prepared and make sure you and your agent develop a good strategy, a great strategy for putting in offers in a multiple offer situation and come on top. So multiple offers are a seller's dream. So other than price, which you may have to come in a bit higher than list price, what else can you do to make your offer more enticing? In a multiple offer situation, the seller's decision-making process becomes even more strategic. They're going to analyze each offer and look at the terms of your offer. So let's talk about what some of those important terms are and how you can use those terms to make your offer stand out, buyer. So contingencies. Fewer contingencies can definitely make an offer more appealing. A contingency is a condition that is stipulated in the contract for the purchase of the home. A contingency basically reads like this: if this condition is met, then I go ahead or continue with the purchase of this contract. So for example, if the conditions are met for the home inspection and buyer and seller come to an agreement of set conditions and conditions are met, then we remove the contingency and continue with the contract. We have an appraisal contingency as well. If the appraisal comes in and we agree on the conditions, the contingency has been met, and we can remove that contingency from the contract and continue on. Now, I normally don't recommend, especially my first-time homebuyers, to waive any contingencies from their offer. But, for example, a home inspection contingency can be waived in the right circumstances. Let's say there's a house that you absolutely love and you're thinking about writing an offer on it. So that you may write the offer with no home inspection contingency, you can do one of two things. First, you can do a full pre-offer home inspection. This is exactly what it means. It is a home inspection before you put an offer on a home. This is actually one of the most common ways to give yourself a competitive edge as a purchaser when bidding on a home. If the home inspection is to your satisfaction, you can now remove the home inspection contingency from your offer. Second, you can do a walk and talk home inspection, where you can walk with your home inspector and give the home a light home inspection. This is the cheaper option since it's limited to the big ticket items like the roof, mechanical systems, and foundation, to name a few things. There's no home inspection report, but the home inspector walks around the home with the buyers and their agent and take a look at the overall conditions of the home. Some buyers feel most comfortable with the walk and talk, as it is the cheapest option, given that they are not guaranteed to win the bid on the home, even with a pre-offer inspection. I've seen buyers win the contract on the offer when they remove the home inspection contingency, even when they are not the highest bidder. Why, buyer, you may ask, is performing a pre-offer home inspection so attractive to the seller? Because it eliminates the home inspection contingency that most buyers submit with their offer. In the eye of the seller, the riskiest contingency is this one, since the purchaser will have the right to cancel the contract if the contract allows it. As a result, the buyers are released from the contract without any strings attached. The seller must then relist their home if a void occurs after losing momentum in a market. Cue the totally freaked out home seller. Nevertheless, it happens more than you'd want to know. So if you are totally in love with this house and you must put in an offer on it, put your best foot forward and put yourself in a better position with better terms on your offer. Of course, you don't want to just hire a home inspector and have them come with you to the showing. You need to make sure you let the agent, the listing agent, and the seller know that you are performing a home inspection and make an appointment for it. Remember, this is not your house. Ask for permission. Other contingencies in the contract are the appraisal contingency, which you may not be able to remove. Remember, buyer or lender is going to require an appraisal on this house. Instead of waiving the appraisal contingency, what you can do is add an appraisal gap addendum to your contract offer. So you write the contract for the sales price and you stipulate that, for example, you are willing to go up to $10,000 to make up the difference in the case the appraisal comes in low. So let's say for purposes of this example, you put in an offer for a home that's $500,000 with an appraisal gap addendum of $10,000. If the appraisal comes in at $490,000, then the contract already allows for you to still purchase the home as you have agreed to bridge the gap between $490,000 and $500,000 for this property. But let's say the appraisal comes in at $480,000. Now that's a $20,000 gap. A few things could be done here. You can either come to an agreement with the seller where you still use your $10K gap and they can reduce the price of the home for $10K so that the sale can continue. Or if the buyer has the money and really wants to buy this home and the seller's not budging, they can put in that additional $10K on that gap. If buyer and seller don't come to an agreement, then buyer can void the contract since they didn't come up with an agreement on that appraisal contingency. Or the buyer can dispute the appraisal and request for the appraisal to be reviewed. If the seller and their agent can provide good comps, that's always a big help. Waiving appraisal contingencies are a bit risky. I've seen plenty of agents waiving them, but it has to be in the right circumstances. Of course, cash offers, for the most part, don't have contingencies because there is no bank involved. However, some cash buyers perform their own appraisals. The next thing I want to talk about is earnest money deposits. First off, what is an EMD? What is an earnest money deposit? It is a sum of money that a buyer provides to a seller as a show of good faith when making an offer on a property and the offer is accepted. It demonstrates the buyer's serious intent to purchase the property, and the money is placed into an escrow account with the title company to open escrow. From this account, all monies of the transaction go in and go out. So the buyer uses their EMD in essence to open the financial account for this transaction for this purchase. A higher earnest money deposit shows that you are committed to the purchase of their home. As a seller's agent, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a buyer submit an offer, sometimes for more than list, and give a very, very low earnest money deposit. How serious are you about this home? You're writing an offer on a $450,000 home and your EMD is $3,000 or $5,000. It tells the seller that you don't have any skin in the game. Now, as a buyer's agent, if I have a buyer that is going to be putting down a very good down payment and they have to come up with, say, $150,000 cash to close, then I've written offers with earnest money deposits of $30,000 or more. So remember, a higher EMD shows you're willing to play and you are serious. The third thing I would hone in on when submitting an offer and standing out is a rock solid pre-approval letter from a reputable mortgage lender. This is highly important. Your lender is the biggest piece in this transaction because he or she is the one with the money, and you need that money to be able to purchase. Here's a story that pertains to the importance of a good lender. I just had a buyer call me up to let me know they were pre-approved from a well-known internet-based lender for a very high amount of money. When I did my initial buyer's presentation to them, I discussed that before committing to this online lender, they should talk to one of the local lenders that I recommended. To my surprise, it seemed like the online lender only used their credit score and annual income, nothing else. No taxes, no verification of assets, no profit and loss margins. That is not a pre-approval. That's not even a pre-qualification. It turns out that not only do they not qualify for what the online lender claimed they qualified for, they don't qualify to buy a house, period. Imagine these buyers working with this online lender because they don't know any better, getting a pre-approval, putting in a contract on a home, having that home go under contract, go through the costs of home inspection, having to pay for an appraisal, all out of their pockets, by the way, only for, at the end of the day, the lender to deny their loan, because that's exactly what is going to happen here. And the bank has all the power to do that because, well, they're the lender. My point is, as a seller's agent, when we see offers for homes and we see these lenders that already have a reputation of these practices, we will let our sellers know, because of course we have a fiduciary duty with our sellers. We act as their advisors. So again, offer strategy for you buyers. Make sure you get yourself a reputable lender. Your lender should be asking for business or personal tax returns from 2 to 3 years back, pay stubs, W-2s, 1099s, and anything else they may be asking for. Yes, they are asking for a lot because they are lending you a lot of money. If your lender is sending the file into underwriting, that's even better. That means that the lender is crossing their T's, dotting their I's, and the chances of you getting to a closing table on any home are much, much greater. Do your homework, do your research, because some lenders have nothing to lose except you as a customer. Next, let's look at settlement or the closing date. Again, buyer, when your agent reaches out to the seller's agent before he or she writes the offer, there are important pieces of information that the agent should be requesting to know to make sure the offer is structured to the needs of the seller. For most sellers, closing sooner than later is definitely the way to go, but that's not always the case. Like, do they need to sell their home to be able to purchase another one? This may mean that they want to close ASAP, but would more than likely need a rent back period. Make sure you know what the seller's needs are when it comes to closing or settlement dates. As a seller, there is nothing more amazing than receiving an offer that doesn't have to be amended, changed, crossed out before being signed and initialed by both parties. Make sure your offer is just that, a great, well-written offer right from the start. Hey house hunters, if you are liking the content on this channel and are learning from it, please don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. I have well over 8,000 views on my videos as of the beginning of September 2024, but we're only at 216 subscribers, which means that 97% of you that are watching my videos are not subscribing. Let's change that. If you found this content helpful and informative, please hit that subscribe button. Okay, so with recent changes in real estate commissions and compensations, it's really important to note that both buyers and sellers are still adjusting to the new landscape. While these changes may influence the overall cost of the transaction, remember, buyer, that the seller's primary focus remains on maximizing their net proceeds. Having said that, the new rules have been in effect for over 3 weeks at the recording of this video. What do we see happening in our market here in the DMV? My brokerage firm, Arla Properties, has been collecting data within our own brokerage firm from both buyer and seller agents. We've seen that not only are buyers requesting their agent's fee compensated, we're seeing sellers offering it when agreeing on a contract for their home. Buyers are requesting it and sellers are giving it. As a matter of fact, from the homes that have gone under contract in our brokerage of more than 400 agents, we see between 92 to 96% of the sellers contribute most, if not all, compensation the buyer is asking for. So even with all the fear and uncertainty of this new reality of how sellers and buyers negotiate, we still see that sellers recognize they should indeed continue to contribute to buyer agent compensation, and that's a beautiful thing, sellers. Sellers are absolutely recognizing that buyers, more than wanting buyer agent compensation, They need it to be able to buy. This has kept the real estate market moving in the right direction. Great news for buyers and sellers. Will you find the occasional seller that doesn't want to offer compensation? Yes. Will you find that buyer that will write an offer not asking any buyer agent compensation and outbid you? Absolutely. And really, there's nothing buyer you could have done on that one. But again, some buyers were losing offers on homes months ago, even before the industry changes. And just remember, buyers, sellers are looking at their net proceeds. That's the number one thing they are looking at. So buyers, don't feel bad if you lost to a buyer who had the money to not have to ask for compensation to the seller. As just discussed, data from weeks back shows us that at least 92% of sellers are willing and able to negotiate buyer agent compensation for their buyer's agent. Remember, you are packaging an offer. It's not just paper and signatures. We want to make sure you and your agent know what it is that's going to turn your offer into a yes and win out the rest of the bids on this home that you want to call your own. Understanding the seller's perspective is key to crafting a compelling offer by focusing on their net proceeds, but more than that, addressing their concerns regarding terms. You'll increase your chances of securing your dream home. So there you have it. Again, if you're finding this content helpful, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel for expert tips and advice on all things buying and selling, especially in Montgomery County, Maryland. If you know someone buying a home who needs to hear this information, be a friend and share. Until the next video.